Hello everybody, thank you for joining me for my review of the 2023 horror film Talk to Me, starring Sophie Wilde and directed by Michael and Danny Filippo. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If not, I apologize. I have to say I just went to the theater and saw Talk to Me as I'm trying to catch up on some of the newer horror films out there, and I thought this was a really creepy movie. I was pleasantly surprised by how much I liked it, and I do highly recommend it. So, I'm not going to go a lot into the plot, but just to give a quick summary, it's a very typical plot. A bunch of young people who may not be the smartest horror movie characters ever conjure up spirits using an embalmed hand. And it's one of those movies where you definitely have to buy into the premise of why would someone do this to begin with. But if you can get past that, this is a very well done and effective horror film. It's very well acted by the lead Sophie Wilde, and the supporting cast is fine. Everybody is fine. The characters are nothing great, but they are interesting enough to make me care about what was happening throughout the film. The plot is typical of a horror movie and a possession movie, but it's filmed visually in a very interesting way. And the movie did feel very tense and almost has a surreal feel to it at times, which everyone may not like, but that I appreciated and was really able to help me get into the mood of the film. There's some great visual imagery and just the right amount of gore, in my opinion. This is an R-rated movie, but it doesn't go over the top with violence. But I will say it's a film where the R rating really works in the movie's favor. Overall, it's also very well directed, and there's only a few jump scares, which are handled well, but they're not overused. I feel like one thing that really works in this movie is that everything's used the right amount. There's the right amount of gore, there's the right amount of violence, there's the right amount of jump scares, but nothing is overdone. It's also the movie is also paced pretty well once it gets going. But the main thing that Talk to Me has going for it that a lot of horror movies don't, in my opinion, especially newer horror films, is that this is a very creepy horror movie, in my opinion. I'm not one that's unsettled or creeped out very easily, as I've seen many horror films over the years. But this movie was truly disturbing in a few places. There were a couple scenes that I really thought were creepy, and I really liked the overall tone of this movie. I feel like some horror movies struggle with tone, but I found this movie to be consistently unsettling in all the scenes, even the more dramatic scenes that weren't as horror based. It is a slow build movie, but I thought for the most part, once the movie got going, the slow build worked really well. This film's also the right length at 95 minutes long, and I want to say thank you to the writers, director, and everyone involved that this isn't an overlong horror movie like too many are. In my opinion. Now, as much as I enjoyed Talk to Me, it's not a perfect horror film in my opinion. There are a few small negatives. While I thought the pacing was good once the movie did get going, the movie, even at 95 minutes, did take a little bit to get going, but as I said, once it got going, I was really invested. Also, the writing is just okay. A few scenes seem to tease plot developments that never really happen, or just seem there to create a scare. All this stuff, it didn't really kill the movie in any way, but I thought the script could have been tightened up a little bit and a little more polished. It's also pretty predictable. I could pretty much see where this movie was going, but not necessarily in a bad way. The other thing is that the ending, while fitting into the movie very well, seems a bit abrupt. I don't dislike the ending, but it's one of those movies where it just kind of happens and it just kind of ends. Still, Talk to Me is a really strong horror movie that I recommend, and I would say it's like a 4 out of 5. And if you like creepy possession movies that are well made, I do recommend Talk to Me. As always, feel free to leave me a comment if you saw or are planning to see this movie, as it's a new release, and thanks very much for watching.